have tackled many strange stories on 60 Minutes, but perhaps none like this. It's the story of the U.S. government's grudging acknowledgement of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, more commonly known as UFOs. After decades of public denial, the Pentagon now admits there's something out there, and the U.S. Senate wants to know what it is. The Intelligence Committee has ordered the Director of National Intelligence and the Secretary of Defense to deliver a report on the mysterious sightings by next month.
Imagine a technology that can do 600 to 700 G-forces, that can fly at 13,000 miles an hour, that can evade radar, and that can fly through air and water and possibly space. And oh, by the way, has no obvious signs of propulsion, no wings, no control surfaces, and yet still can defy the natural effects of Earth's gravity. That's precisely what we're seeing.
I'm pretty sure they come in peace.
The chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in another place. And they heard a great voice from heaven, saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. The second world was past, and the third world got conquered. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven. God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which is filled to her double.
All right. All right. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to our younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Shah, Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners that have came back to the obedience of the scripture through faith in Yahweh Shah. All right, and today, you know, what we're going to go into is dealing with the corruption, all right, of the priesthood. Now, when we understand the priesthood, we know, that the priesthood was given, to the tribe of Levi. All right, they were the tribe of priests amongst the nation of Israel, and the tribe of Levi. That's a beautiful tribe. They had a very important office amongst our nation. And they played the tribe. There was the mediator between the Most High, and Israel. And amongst the tribe of Levi, you will have a high priest, that would come, from the sons of Aaron, who would have that office of high priest, in which the high priest was the only one that can go into the Holy of Holies within the temple and offer their sacrifice, dealing with the Day of Atonement, for the sins of Israel. So the Levites had a very, important and vital role within the priesthood, but it was temporary, and that priesthood became very corrupt and defiled and became political. And by the time Yahweh Shai got on the scene, the priesthood was pretty much, a position of status, all right, and not, a spiritual overseer of Israel, and Yahweh Shai was very much against, that mindset, that the priest had at the time when he was on the scene. So what we're going to do, and like I say, the priests, the Levites, going into this, not saying that every Levite is wicked. Now, no, you have plenty of Levites amongst the camps, beautiful brothers. Most of the time, the Levites, they're going to be the brothers in the camps that's going to have the most structure. Those brothers are very versed in the scriptures. They're very, they have a great understanding of the law, because that's just in their nature. They're even just in their personal life, man. Their houses be super clean. They have a lot of structure in their life. They're very punctual. When it comes to time. Because they had a very tedious office. As a Levite, as a priest. So the Levites are beautiful brothers. The Levites that are sincerely and true. Those Levite brothers, man. But there was dealing with the priesthood. There was a lot of corruption, that went on, and we're going to go into it. First, I'm going to the precepts, but also I'm gonna go into this study Bible. Now, this is the I know you can't see the letters; they're good, but this is the King James. All right, the Nelson Study Bible. If brothers want a good study Bible, the Nelson Study Bible is probably the best one I had so far as commentary. It's pretty good. It got some bones in it, but for the most part, it's a pretty good commentary. But the part we're going to focus on is this section called Between the Testaments, and we're going to walk down the history dealing with, the priesthood and what was going on from the time of the Persians all the way until the time, of Yahushua, So what we're going to do first, though, is go to the blue letter and let's deal with Malachi, the second chapter, which this is during the time, with the Persians, when we was given the order from Cyrus, to rebuild their temple. All right. So you go to Malachi 3, it's like Malachi 2 and 1. Now the beginning of the chapter is called Priests to be, all right, disciplined. Now this is Malachi 2 and 1, and it says, "Now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you." It says, "If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart to give glory unto my name," and you have men that call themselves Israelite teachers and leaders that still don't give glory unto the name of Yahweh and his son Yahushua. They call on Most High and Christ blessed, man. You see, it says, "Save the Lord Yahweh Hashem of hosts. I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yeah, I have cursed them already, because ye did not lay it to heart." All right, which is to your mind. So really, this is the Lord, all right, cussing out, the priest, man, because the priests would become defiled, within this Persian Empire, within the rebuilding. Now you had Nehemiah and Esdras, which was Levites, and they was about righteousness, but then you had corruption amongst it. We're going to get it. It says, "Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it." And he said he's going to corrupt their seed. Because see, these men that we see in the earth today, that are all into this madness, it's a great chance that they come from these men that we read about that was corruptible in the scriptures, So we're seeing, there's a great chance we're seeing the offspring of corrupt seed, in the earth that were doing corruption back then, within the priesthood. They're back today, man, doing the same thing in that same mindset and that same energy, man. Just like you have the seed of the righteous come back, all right, in that state of righteousness, man. Because ultimately we are our forefathers coming back, man. So this generation of corruptible priests is in the earth. Corruptible Israelites is in the earth, just like the seed of the righteous, all right, of our forefathers is in the earth, man. It says even the dung of your solemn feast, and now it's spiritual. It says even the dung of your solemn feast. Now the Passover is supposed to be what? A solemn feast. But look how you have Israelite groups, that celebrate the Passover. We have a fashion show at 1. All right, you got one that's in this big, arena where anybody pretty much can come, people that don't even believe, and then they're exalting, this guy Johanna, at that Passover. And then you have another Passover that's pretty much, all right, linked with nigga culture, man. You have to, it's a night at the club, you see, and that's done, all right, of a solemn feast, man. It says, and one shall take you away with it, and ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi. All right, that my covenant might be with Levi, said the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and he was afraid before my name. And now let's get that account, all right, because this is the major account in the Bible, pretty much, where he's the tribe of Levi, was exalted, for showing fear towards Yahweh by Shema Shai. So let's get that account and read through it. So when you get Exodus 32, I'm gonna jump to 15 and just read down. All right. Now this is after Moses when he got the laws and he came back down, and it said this is Exodus 32 and 15. It says, and Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in his hand. The tablets were written on both their sides, and the one side and on the other were they written. And the tablets were the work of the Most High, and all the writings was the writing of the Most High graven upon the tables. And when Joshua, all right, heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, there is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. All right, and he goes to Moses' anger, and it says, and it came to pass as soon as he came nigh to the camp that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tablets out of his hand and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire and the ground, and ground it to powder, and scrawled it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink it. Yes, Moses, is destroying this calf that they had made. Because here it is, Moses going to get the laws, all right, from the Most High, which Moses was a Levite, he was a physical brother of Aaron, who Moses was the one who anointed Aaron to be high priest, showing that even Moses had rank over Aaron, you see, but they were all Levites. Now, so Moses going to get the law, he's with the Most High, all right, getting the law. Then he comes down to present the law to the children of Israel, and guess Jake wilding out down here, man. Jake is already back into idolatry, man. So Moses is pissed, and then he makes Israel, matter of fact, read again, it came to pass as soon as he came nigh to the camp that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tablets out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount. Yeah, so he had broke the tablets with the law. He was pissed, and Moses had to go back up there and get the law again, man. Here it is, he had to fast, 40 days and 40 nights while he was with the Most High, and getting the law, and the Most High was breaking things down to him. That's how Moses was able to write, Genesis, from Genesis to Deuteronomy, going back to the beginning. The reason why he was able to write those things, because the Most High, all right, told him them things when he was on top of the mount. All right, and it says, and he took the calf which they had made and burnt it with a fire and ground it to powder and scrawled it upon the water and made the children of Israel drink it. And Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee that thou had brought so great a sin upon them? So he's cussing Aaron out, man. Like, what happened, man? How did these people do this, man? Because pretty much he laid the people under the control of Aaron while he was gone. And Aaron said, let thy anger let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people that they are set on mischief. So Aaron, like, man, look, look, don't be mad, my Lord. You know, talking to Moses, and he was like, you know how these people are, man. You know, you know how these people are, man. You know, as in verse 23 said, for they say unto me, make us gods which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, this the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what has become of him. Yeah, Israel had gotten impatient. And see, this is the generation pretty much of the 2/3 of our people that Moses and Aaron is dealing with at this time frame. That's why the Most High killed all these Israelites off in the wilderness and only left their children and Joshua and Caleb, you know, to go into the promised land, you know. So this is a hell of a bunch, you know, Aaron and Moses is having to deal with, man. You see? So reading on, and it says, and I said unto them, whosoever have any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me. Then I cast in the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, all right, which is in their actions, you know, because why? We're supposed to be clothed with the righteousness of the scriptures, all right. And it says, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemy. Why? Because of idolatry. You know, that's what makes, all right, someone naked, man. An alternative lifestyle, alternative way of being outside of the commandments. All right, just like Adam and Eve, they were considered naked. Well, it was talking about what? They had went another way. You know, they had stripped off righteousness, man. You see? It said, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? All right. Who is on Yahweh's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah, power Israel, put every man his sword by his side and go in and out from the gate to gate throughout the camp and slay every man his brother and every man his companion and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. You know, those men that was, you know, committing those acts of idolatry, man. You know, they was Moses gave command to the Levites who, you know, feared the Lord in that day, you know, and chose their loyalty to Yahweh Shema Shai, and Moses gave them the charge to slay those wicked, all right, Jakes that was into the idolatry, man. You know, so that's when Levi really, you know, separated itself from the other tribes, you know, through what? The fear of Yahweh Shema Shai. Which you go into the Hebrew word Lawa Yah, what does it mean? You know, join to me, you know. So let's get another one real quick, and then we'll go back to Nehemiah, you know, and then we can get into this history. So you go to Deuteronomy 28 and Deuteronomy 27 and 9. This is Deuteronomy 27 and 9. And Moses and the priests, the Levites, spake unto all Israel, saying, take heed and hearken, O Israel. This day art thou become the people of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, thy power. Thou shalt therefore obey the voice of the Lord thy power, and do his commandments and his statutes, which I command this day. You know, so you see that the Levites, all right, had the office of spiritual overseers, all right, and spiritual leaders over our people, all right, to enforce what? Righteousness amongst Israel. So the Levitical priesthood was a beautiful and vital, you know, office amongst our people, you know, but it became corrupted, and eventually the order, all right, the priesthood after order Melchizedek was set up under Yahweh Shah, which it was always meant to, you know, be that way, you know. But the Levitical priesthood was a temporary priesthood, you know, until the time of Yahweh Shah, you know, when it would be changed, you see. But it was a beautiful thing, like I, you know, keep harping on, became corrupted. Now, let's probably go back into it. But now let's go into, like I said, this is going to be the Nelson Study Bible. I got a few things highlighted we're going to go over, and we're going to go into the Apocrypha, and get these accounts out of the book of Maccabees, because when you go between the testaments, in Malachi, which is where we're reading now, in Malachi. Then you go to Matthew, it goes from the Persian, captivity until the Roman captivity. It skips the Greeks. But this, the Maccabees is really what fill in the blanks. And this just gives, some more details dealing with what was going on during the different rulerships, of the Greeks, those different generals of Alexander, that will have our people, in the captivity. You see? So we're going to go into the history, and we're going to start, with the Persians, which is during the time of the book of Malachi. All right. Now, let's go into the Persian period. Let me get my Apocrypha out so we can link these accounts up, in the book of Maccabees. I'm going to try to make it concise as possible. If you got any brothers, you sisters got any questions, you can ask them, or you can put them on the comment board, after the lesson, and we can deal with that specific question that you got, but I'm gonna try to make it, concise and to the point as possible. It's a lot of history, but I kind of summed it up. I want to just hit the major points, dealing with this history. Now, when you go to between the Testament, and this is dealing with the Persian period. All right, it said the Jews fared well under the Persian ruler Cyrus. All right, under the Persian rule, it said Cyrus had given them permission to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. And although they met opposition from the inhabitants of Palestine, which when you read, Nehemiah, it goes into that, how the heathens tried to hinder us from building, their second temple. And it says, Esdras the scribe and Nehemiah the layman sought to strengthen the Palestinian, all right, and the Palestinian community of Jews, and encourage their loyalty to the law of the Most High. For about a century and a half after Nehemiah's time, the Persian Empire exercised control over Judea, and the Jews were permitted to observe their religious ordinances without interference. Judea was ruled by high priests who were responsible to the Persian government. So we had, we was able to keep, the law, statutes, and commandments, but we still had to answer to the Persian government. All right. And the high priests, they was the pretty much the ambassador, all right, of Israel to whoever was in power, the rulers of whatever heathen nation was ruling, all right, they pretty much went through the high priest to deal with Israel, and that's when we're going to see the corruption of the priesthood, due to them having to answer, to these heathens, man, and it says Judea was ruled by high priests who were responsible to the Persian government, a fact which ensured the Jews a large measure of autonomy, which is like some form of sovereignty. We was really like a vassal state, to whoever was in power, the Persians at this time. And it says, at the same time, however, it made a political office of the priesthood and sowed the seeds of future trouble. So now we're seeing the beginning of the corruption that was going to come, to the priesthood, especially dealing with the high priest. The high priest became a political office and not, a spiritual office, amongst Israel. Now it says, at the same time, however, it made a political office of the priesthood and sowed the seeds of future trouble contests for the office of high priest were marked by jealousy, intrigue, and even murder. All right, it said Johanan, son of Joadiah, all right, Nehemiah 12 and 22, is reported to have slain his brother Joshua within the temple precincts. Johanan was succeeded as high priest by his brother Judua, whose brother Manasseh, according to the Josephus, married the daughter of Sanballat, governor of Samaria. Yeah, so you had even high priests, that were marrying to houses of the heathen, man. Why? For status. You see, for status amongst the current rulers, So now we're seeing the high priest is not about, pushing the commandments, about the fear of the Lord, as we were watching, as we was reading, during the time of Moses. They was coming in the energy about having clout within this society, man, which is the same thing we're seeing today, the same behavior that we're seeing today. And it says, it was at the time that a Samaritan temple was built on Mount Gerizim, which rather than Zion, all right, because Mount Gerizim was in, more towards Samaria, where Ephraim and the northern tribe dwelt. You see, but the temple, all right, was supposed to be in Mount Zion. You see, but it was in Mount Gerizim. Why? Because it became political. It wasn't about, being the presence of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. You see, and it says, reading on, and it says, it was at this time that a Samaritan temple was built in Mount Gerizim, which rather than Zion was regarded as sacred by the Samaritan community. The sanctuary of Mount Gerizim was destroyed by the Hasmonean ruler John Hyrcanus 134 to 104 BC, but the mount itself continues to this day to be regarded as sacred by the Samaritans. All right, which the Samaritans were mostly heathens, man, because remember, when the Syrians took out, the northern kingdom, they took them captives and removed them from their land. They placed heathens there, mostly Hamites. You see, and then you had a mix of heathens that was in the land of Samaria. So this is about 500 years later, where you had, where really it started like 200 years later, and then trickled down, to the time of John Hyrcanus during the Hasmonean dynasty, when their temple was destroyed. All right, because you still had the second temple built by, the Southern Kingdom during the time of the Persian, but it was built in Zion. But you had another temple, that was built in Mount Gerizim, which was in Samaria. And that's why it's finna go into when Yahweh Shai, came to the woman at the well, she was talking about them, worshiping in this certain temple of Gerizim, But Yahweh Shai, which we'll get that. Matter of fact, I get it. I'm gonna read it first in this account, then we'll get it. And it says, but the mountain itself continued to this day to be regarded as sacred by the Samaritans. The woman at Samaria wished to dispute with Yahweh Shai concerning the merits of the rival holy places, but the Savior chose to emphasize the spiritual attitude of the worship rather than the place of worship. It says the soundboat, yeah, I think that was it on that. But let's get there real quick. And in the book of St. John, but we see, how the priesthood became political, under the Persian. It's gonna get worse and worse and worse. Jake gonna wild out, over the high priest position, man. Jake becomes very, wicked about that high priest position. So let's get there real quick, and then we'll keep walking this history down. So when you get when you get St. John 4. All right, it's St. John 4, and I started at 7. All right, St. John 4:7 said, "There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahushua said unto her, Give me to drink, for his disciple was gone away into the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that you, being a Jew, asketh drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans." Yeah, because they knew that they was heathens and they was going off. You see, you had a righteous, lineage of priests, that would uphold the ways of their forefathers, man. And they knew that these people was heathens. But then you had the wicked, all right, or the priests who was all about, clout and status in the world. And they was all, they didn't mind, mingling with the heathen to elevate, in status, man. So you did have a portion of our people that didn't fool with those Samaritans, man, because they knew majority of them was heathens. You did have some Jake that was up there, but they knew for the most part it was majority heathens. Now you read on, it says, Yahushua answered said unto her, If thou knewest the gift for the Most High, and who it is that saith unto thee, Give me drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water, which is the knowledge. But Yahushua really is just picking her brain, really just toying with the woman, because he knew that they didn't know what the hell they were worshiping, which he's going to say it. It said, the woman said unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From thence hast thou that living water? And see, she was simple. So Yahushua pretty much is talking over her head, and it says, Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well and drank thereof himself and his children and his cattle? And Yahushua said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again, but whosoever shall drink of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. So this heathen, they're really, because even when you go into the history of the Hasmonean dynasty, they was conquering a lot of that land back, of our forefathers, and they was pretty much making these heathens, follow our ways, which that's where you get, that the religion of Judaism, where these heathens try to practice, our laws, man, and they think that makes them one of us, but it don't. They're still heathens. That's why she's talking about her father Jacob, because they think they're included, if they practice, Judaism, and try to worship like us, man. It says, the woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahushua said to her, Go call thy husband and come hither. So he's pretty much torn with her. So I'm gonna read down. All right, this is verse 20. It says, the woman said, I started at 19. It says, the woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worship in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yeah, so he's letting her know that Jerusalem is the place of worship, not Mount Gerizim. That was the place of the temple, was in Jerusalem. And Yahushua said unto the woman, he said, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Why? Because we're going to be the temple in the kingdom, and these heathens, all right, are going to have no part, you know, in our kingdom when it's established in the earth, you know, besides working, you know, but they're not going to be involved in the office of the priesthood. You see, they're not going to have access, all right, to Yahweh Shema Shai as we have, man. You know, now he says, verse 22, he says, "Ye worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews, man." You know, beginning, all right, with the tribe of Judah, you know, the head tribe, and also the rest of the tribes under them. You see, so those heathen didn't really know what was going on, man. You know, they were just following, you know, what their forefather was doing, due to what the priesthood, you know, being corrupted, you know, and trying to expand, you know, pretty much do his own thing, man. You know, under wicked high priests that will come up from amongst our people, man. You know, from amongst Levi. Now, that was under the Persian Empire, you know. So let's go back to between the testaments. So let's go back to between the testaments. Now, that was with the Persian Empire. And now let's jump to the Ptolemies. All right. Now, then this is the Ptolemies, you know, for you. So you got, you know, the Ptolemies. Let me see if you can see it. Where is it? It's right here. All right. Hold on. You know, you see the Ptolemies. All right. So you see the section for the Ptolemies, and then you're gonna go into the solutions, you know. But dealing with the Ptolemies, all right, which was one of the generals, you know, one of the lines of rulers, you know, under Alexander. It says, following the death of Alexander, Judea was first subjugated to Antiguus, one of the generals, but it quickly fell under the general Ptolemy the first, surnamed Soter, which means deliverer, which that's why you have a lot of our people, you know, worship Serapis Christus, and that whole religion of Edomite savior comes from, you know, Ptolemy Soter. All right. And it says, who seized Jerusalem on the Sabbath day in 320 BC, Ptolemy, whose kingdom entered into Egypt, dealt kindly with the Jews. Many of them settled in Alexandria, which continued to be an important center of Jews for many centuries. All right. So you got 320 BC. Now this is, you know, a few centuries after the second temple, you know, was built. All right. So now we're in the time of the Greeks. Now we're going to deal with the priesthood under the Greeks. It said the Jews in Palestine enjoyed a period of prosperity during Ptolemaic times. Tribute tax was paid to the government in Egypt, but local affairs were administered by the high priest, who had been responsible for governing their people since Persian times. The greatest figure among the Jews of the Ptolemaic period was Simon the Just, the high priest, who is the subject of the highest praise in the apocryphal book of Ecclesiasticus, which calls him great among his brethren and the glory of his people. He is credited with building the walls of Jerusalem, which had been demolished by Ptolemy I, and is said to have repaired the temple and directed the excavation of a great reservoir, all right, to provide fresh water for Jerusalem in times of drought and siege. In addition to his reputation of high priest, Simon also is regarded as one of the greatest teachers, all right, of the ancient Jews. Now, so all the priests wasn't wicked. Like I said, this high priest, you know, was recorded to be righteous, you know, Simon the Just, you know. But then we're going to go into where you're going to see, you know, wickedness spring up within the priesthood. All right. It says during Ptolemaic times, the priestly families of Onias and Tobias became bitter rivals. The house of Tobias was pro-Egyptian and represented the wealthy class of Jerusalem society. It may have been, I said, it may have been related to Tobiah the Ammonite. All right. Would you read in Nehemiah 2 and 10, 4 and 3? It says, who gave so much trouble to Nehemiah. Yeah, so these priests, are direct descendants of these priests, that was in charge of building, the second temple. You see, this is nothing but the descendants of those priests. Now, let's get Ananias. Let's get some history of Ananias, which was considered a righteous priest, and it says, this is second Maccabees, because when you deal with the book of Maccabees, now first Maccabees, it pretty much, goes right into, the second chapter with Mattathias, and it goes into the revolt, of the, what they call the Maccabean revolt. But when you go in the second Maccabees, it kind of starts before that, and it leads up into, the Maccabean revolt. It deals with the priesthood, all right, and how, you had Ananias, get undermined by his brother Jason, then Jason gets undermined by a Benjamite, So we're going to go into the history that what led up to the Maccabean revolt, and how the priesthood, Jake was just super wicked. But now when you deal with Ananias, all right, which he pretty much, after him, the priesthood got very, very corrupt. So when you go to second Maccabees chapter 3, it says, now when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well, because of the goodliness, of the godliness of Ananias, the high priest, and his hatred of wickedness, it came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place and magnify the temple with their best gifts, and so much that Seleucus, king of Asia, of his own revenues, bear all the costs belonging to the service of sacrifice. Yeah, so on the Ananias, the Lord was having favor, upon Israel, that they had a time of peace. And it was to the point where you even had those Greek kings that would help, pay the cost, of the Levitical, priesthood. All right. And that made me think of this scripture in the book of Psalms. I mean, it's like in the book of Proverbs, which the Lord said, showing you that the scriptures is real, man. But when you go to Proverbs 16 and 7, all right, it's Proverbs 16 and 7. It says, when a man's ways please the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, he maketh even his enemies be at peace with him. And the ways of Onias, all right, please the Lord, and he made his enemy, even his enemies, all right, be at peace with him, So let's go back into the account of Onias. All right. Now this is back in the second Maccabees 3 and 1. It says, now when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well, because of the godliness of Onias the high priest, and his hatred of wickedness, it came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place and magnify the temple with their best gift, and so much that the Seleucus kings, all right, of Asia, of his own revenues, bear all the costs belonging to the service of sacrifice. But one Simon of the tribe of Benjamin, all right, Simon was of the tribe of Benjamin, who was made governor of the temple, fell out with the high priest about disorder in the city. So you had a nigga, all right, Simon, he fell out with Onias, you see, and it was nothing because he wanted power, he wanted their position, And it says, and when he could not overcome Onias, he got him to Apollonius, the son of Traces, who then was governor of Syria and Phoenicia. Yeah, so he went to Esau, the Greeks, and this is what he did. And he said, and told him that the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money, so that the multitude of their riches would which did not pertain to the account of the sacrifices was innumerable, and that it was possible to bring all into the king's hand. Yeah, so he went to the Greeks to get them to try to come spoil the treasury, man. You know, that was, whole ass nigga, man. Like, see, whole ass niggas been around for for millennia, since the ancient time, man. These niggas has always been around, man, and they just back today in their lot, you know. And it says, now when Apollonius came to the king and had showed him of the money whereof he was told, the king chose out Helidorus with Helidorus his treasurer, and sent him with a commandment to bring him the aforesaid money. All right. So forthwith Helidorus took his journey under a color of visiting the city of Seleucia and Phoenice, but instead, but indeed to fulfill the king's purpose. And when he had come to Jerusalem and had been courteously received, courteously received of the high priest of the city, he told him what intelligence was given him of the money, and declared whereof he came, and asked if these things were so indeed. Then the high priest, which is Onias, said, then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. So you had Helidorus, which was the king treasurer, sent to Jerusalem to spoil the treasury of the temple. And Onias was telling him, like, look, this is laid up for the widows and the fatherless, man, because in the ancient world, the man was the breadwinner. He was the one that would provide. So if a woman lost her husband, and the children their father, there was a treasury put up, is really like a welfare system. And the priest, the high priest was over that treasury. You see, that's why if you had the high priest was supposed to be chosen of Yahweh by Shem Shai as a man that would do right, according to those affairs. Being a high priest ain't about having status and rank and being looked at as something great. No, it was a responsibility, man. But Onias, was telling him this. Now, eventually, you keep reading on. Like I said, we're not gonna read the whole account, but the Lord sent angels, and pretty much beat the brakes off Helidorus, and they was finna kill him. But Onias, he prayed, that his life would be spared, and Helidorus went back to the king and was like, look, if you got enemies, that's where you send them to, all right? Because he was like, Israel got a power that's gonna fight for them, So he told the king, if you got enemies, that's where you send them to, over there, all right? Because for surely the Lord will fight for those people, man, and that's where you get that account from. But just giving the background of Onias, and he was a righteous, high priest. Now, let's read on, because this is happening during the time when Judea was under rule by the Ptolemies. It will get wicked, when the rule will change. We're gonna get it now. Reading on, it says, now we're gonna deal with the solutions. All right, it said the solutions. It says the Syrian rulers are termed solutions by, I said, because their kingdom, one of the successor states to Alexander's empire, was founded by Seleucus the first Nicator. Most of the early rulers bore the name Seleucus or Antiochus or Antiochus, how we pronounce it, and they ruled from Antioch on the Orontes River. The energetic ruler Antiochus III, surnamed the Great, waged a series of battles with Egypt until in 199 BC, he wrestled Palestine from the Ptolemies after the Battle of Panium near the sources of the Jordan River. This marked the beginning of the new era of the history of the Jews. For a while, the Ptolemies had been tolerant, all right, of the Jews' institutions, the solution determined to enforce Hellenism, all right, on the Jews. So now, so the solution line overcame the Ptolemies, all right, under Antiochus III, and now you have the Seleucid Empire ruling over Judea. First, you had the Ptolemies, beginning with Ptolemy the First, Sauter. You know, they was ruling over Judea, and they was allowing Judea to keep their laws as long as they paid tribute, you know, unto the throne, all right, of Egypt, which was under the Ptolemy, under the Ptolemy, you know, rulership. All right, you had Edomites ruling in Egypt, man. You know, for you Egyptologist niggas out there, you know. But after, you know, the Ptolemy line was overthrew by the Seleucids, then you had the Seleucid, all right, dynasty ruling over Judea, and they, all right, was hell bent on Hellenizing the Jews. They didn't want us to keep the laws, you know. They was wilding out, you know. They was really, you know, hell bent on us being Hellenized, man, and not keeping the ways of our fathers, you know. So you know they wasn't with the high priest on Ananias, man. And it's gonna be a change, man. This way it's gonna get real wicked. Now it says the crisis came during the reign of Antiochus the Sixth, surnamed Epiphanes, and that's, all right, probably one of the most, you know, infamous, all right, rulers of people when you read, you know, the stories of Maccabees. Now, I'll finish this and then we'll get all the accounts in the book of Maccabees. It says, who found allies in the Hellenistic party in Judea in the early days of the reign of Antiochus VI. Jerusalem was ruled by the high priest Onias III, a descendant of Simon the Just, and a strictly orthodox Jew. And orthodox just mean, you know, you rule of the old way, you know, which were the ways of our fathers. You know, they ruled in a more traditional way of the high priesthood, you know, going back during the times of Aaron, you know, the sons of Aaron, you know, and his righteous sons that will come from him, you know, that will be over the priest, man. All right, there will be high priest. Now, it says, it said that the Jews who looked with favor on Greek culture opposed Onias and espoused the cause, all right, and espoused the cause of his brother Jason by promising large tribute to Antiochus. Jason succeeded in having himself appointed high priest, although Antiochus looked upon the high priesthood as a political office which he had the right to fill as he pleased. All right, pious Jews thought of the priesthood as divine in origin and considered its sale to the highest bidder as sin against the Most High. Yeah, because we're gonna read in the book of Maccabees how you know, you had this nigga, you know, Jason, which was the brother of Onias. You know, he pretty much he put a bid up. He paid, you know, the king of the Greeks, all right, of the Seleucid Empire to be high priest. He bought the position of high priest, you see. But you had our people, you know, that believed in their righteous way. You know, they looked down upon it. They frowned upon it, man. You know. So let's just get it in the let's get Second Maccabees, the next chapter. Second Maccabees chapter 4. And it says, then Simon, all right, which was the Benjamite, the nigga that went and told you know, the king, you know, went and told one of the king's commanders about, you know, the treasury, you know, try to get, you know, the treasury spoiled, you know, under Onias. All right, it says, this Simon now, of whom we spake afore, having been a betrayer, all right, betrayer of the money and of his country, slandered Onias as if he had terrified Heliodorus and been the worker of these evils. So remember, Heliodorus got beat up by the angel, you know, real bad. You know, he knocked out. You know, the angel knocked his ass out. you know. And so Simon is now spreading the rumor that it was Onias that caused these to happen, and he did all these things. But really, Onias spared Heliodorus because he's, like I say, the angel from the put him to death, you know. And it said, thus was he bold to call him a traitor that had deserted well of the city and tendered his own nation and was so zealous of the laws. But when their hatred went so far that by one of Simon's faction murders were committed. Yeah, so now you have Simon stirring up this strife, and you have, you know, murders happen. So Onias is looking at this, and he's trying to stop all this from happening. Onias is all about trying to keep the peace, man, you know. And it says Onias, seeing the danger of this contentions and that Apollonius, as being the governor of Seleucia and Phoenice, all right, did rage and increase Simon's malice. He went to the king not to be an accuser of his countrymen, but seeking the good of all, both public and private. For he saw that it was impossible that the state should continue quiet and Simon leave his folly unless the king did look down too. But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus, all right, called Epiphanes, took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest, promising unto the king by intercession 303 score talents of silver and another revenue 80 talents. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set up a place of exercise and for training up of the youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by name of the Antiochians. Yeah, so this nigga, because you had a solution that will die, and then you have, you know, Antiochus Epiphanes, all right, which probably was one of the wicked, you know, kings that come out, you know, of that of those Greek kings, you know, that was ruling. And pretty much you had Jason, you know, appeal to him, saying, you know, made a bid for the high priest office, and then he said, not only that, we're gonna build, you know, gyms. We're gonna also call the people, we're gonna call them Antiochians, man. You know, so this man was completely all about converting our people to being Hellenized just so he can have that high priest office, man. You know, so he can be over the treasury, so he can, you know, be the one to go between with the rulers, you know, and the people. You see, so we see how corrupt this high priest office is getting, man. Now, reading on, it says, and the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Epolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid. He took away and putting down the governments which were according to the law. He brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of the Greek fashions and increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifice, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance, all right, in the place of exercise, after the game of discus calls them forth, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. You see, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all, man. So this is the what's going on within the high priest office, man, under the Greeks, man. You know, so let's go back into the history. All right, it says, Jason, all right, going back into it, it said between the testament, it said Jason encouraged the Hellenists who had sought his election. A gymnasium was built in Jerusalem. Greek names became commonplace, and Hebrew orthodoxy was considered obscurantist and obsolete. Yet Jason argued with his close companion and fellow Hellenist, all right, Menelaus of the tribe of Benjamin. And Menelaus was of the brother of Simon, the one who went and snitched, and the one that betrayed, I ain't gonna say snitch, it's a nigga word, but the one that betrayed Onias over the temple, over the treasury of the temple. So this is his brother Menelaus, which is a Benjamite. All right. And it says so him and Jason fall out now. Because see, Menelaus, he's seen Jason bid for the high priest office, So now he's getting ready to put his bid in. And it says Menelaus of the tribe of Benjamin, who offered higher tribute to Antiochus than the paid by Jason, and had himself installed as high priest. The Orthodox Jews who had been scandalized when Jason was named high priest were more deeply disturbed when Menelaus, a Benjamite with no claim to the priestly office, was installed. So you had Esau put it down Benjaminite a high priest, man. This how far off the priesthood was, man. And this is what Jake, talking about bringing back. Come on, man. And it says, Jason raised an army to back his claim to the high priesthood, and Menelaus courted the favor of Antiochus. The Syrians, who were campaigning against Egypt, felt it essential to maintain effective control of Palestine. Antiochus staged a sneak attack on Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, where the Orthodox would not fight, and slaughtered a large number of the enemies of Menelaus. The city walls were destroyed, and a new fortress, the Acra, was built on the site of the citadel. Antiochus was determined to remove all traces of Orthodox Jews' faith. Israel's God identified with Jupiter, and a bearded image of the pagan deity, perhaps in the likeness of Antiochus, was erected on the temple altar, where swine was offered in sacrifice. Jews were forbidden under penalty of death to practice circumcision, Sabbath observance of the celebration, the feast of the Jewish calendar, of the Jews' calendar. Copies of the scripture were ordered destroyed. The laws were enforced with the utmost cruelty, and age scribe named Eleazar was flagged to death because he would not eat swine's flesh. By forces of arms, Menelaus continued as high priest, and the Hellenization party gained victory. All right, yet the Hellenizer had gone too far, and their zeal to annihilate the old order proved their own undoing. The Orthodox were willing to die for their faith, but not all were convinced that they should die passively, and that's where it leads up to that Maccabean revolt under the priesthood, under the high priesthood of Menelaus. All right, so let's get the account with Menelaus when he brought out the priesthood. Then we're going to jump back to Maccabee, the first chapter, where it led up to the Maccabean revolt. And then we're going to go into the Romans, how they came and took control over Judea, which leads up to what, man? The birth of Yahushua. Because what the Maccabeans did, they took back the priesthood, and they set up, righteous order. That's where you had the Feast of Dedication, because they took back the priesthood from them wicked niggas, and they fought off the Greeks, and they gained, some autonomy, which is something like a sovereignty, where they was able to keep the laws. And that's why when Yahushua came, he was still able, to fulfill the law, because the Jews was allowed to keep the law, under the Romans, Now, when you go into, I jump at verse 23. All right. Now remember, Jason and Menelaus, they was cool at one point, but Menelaus, he wanted their high priest spot. All right. Now when you go to Second Maccabees 4:23, it said 3 years afterward, Jason sent Menelaus, the aforesaid Simon's brother, to bear the money unto the king and to put him in mind of certain necessary matters. But he being brought to the presence of the king, yeah, so Jason sent Menelaus to pay a tribute to the king, you know. But when Menelaus got there, he undermined Jason, man. You see, it says, so he came under the king's mandate. On verse 24 said, but he being brought to the presence of the king, when he had magnified him for the glorious appearance of his power, got the priesthood to himself, offering more than Jason by 300 talents of silver. So he came with the king's mandate, bringing nothing worthy the high priesthood, but having the fury of a cruel tyrant and the rage of a savage beast. Then Jason, who was undermined, who had undermined his own brother, being undermined by another, was compelled to flee into the country of the Ammonites. So Menelaus got the principality, but as for the money that he had promised unto the king, he took no good order for it, albeit Saskis, the ruler of the council, required it. So you had Jason undermine Ananias, you know, which was a righteous high priest, and then you had a Benjamite, you know, undermine Jason, you know, which they don't even have the office of the high priest, but just show you how far left the high priesthood went, man, you know. So you have that. Now, this what was going on, you know, under the priesthood of Menelaus, the Benjamite, you know. So when you go to, all right, First Maccabees, chapter 1, and yep, this is First Maccabees 1 and 10. It says, there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of, I started at 9. All right. This First Maccabees 1 and 9. And after his death, and this is the death of Alexander, they all put crowns upon themselves, dealing with his generals, all right, which will later become, you know, those generals start dynasties, you know, that will rule different parts, you know, of the area. All right. And it says, so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days there went out of Israel a wicked man, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Yeah, so they didn't want to be under the rulership of Onias, you know, so they went and they made covenants. All right, pretty much they brought out the high priest position, you know, and influenced the people in Hellenistic ways, man. All right, so this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathens. And that's talking about Jason, mainly Jason, you know, and Menelaus, man, you know, and wicked niggas, man. All right. Now, let's jump down. And it says, this is Maccabees 1 and 41. It said, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws, so that all the heathen agreed according to the commandments of the king. Yeah, many also the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbaths and the festival days, and pollute the sanctuary of the holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels and idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profaneness, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he should die. In self same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to which every one forsook the law, and so committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for security. Yeah, so you had those Israelites that wanted to keep the way, they had to flee. You know, they had to flee out of there, man, because Jerusalem just being turned out, man. Our people just being turned out, man, by these Greeks, man, under the rulership of Antiochus, man. You know, and plus you had that wicked high priest, you know, well, wicked nigga who's in the position of high priest. All right, first with Jason, then Elias, you know, that was just forwarding, you know, the agenda, you know, of those Greeks, man, which is the same thing you see today. Now, let's jump to 2nd Maccabees 6 and 2, and then we'll jump back into 1st Maccabees, you know, and then we'll segue into the time of the Romans. Now, when you go to 2nd Maccabees 6, all right, 6 and 1, it says, it's 2nd Maccabees chapter 6 verse 1. It said, not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to not live after the laws of the Most High, all right, and pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in garrison of Jupiter, the defenders of strangers. Yeah, that temple that was in, you know, in garrison. All right, so you had the temple that was in Jerusalem. And remember, we had the one that was in Mount Gerizim, which was in Samaria. All right. And it says the defenders of strangers, as they did desire, all right, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. It said the coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy place, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbaths for the Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself to be at all a Jew, man. So it was even unlawful to call yourself a Jew, man. You know, that's why when you read Galatians 3 and 28, Apostle Paul said there is neither Jew nor Greek, you know, because our people was heavily turned out. They was forced to be called Greeks and Antiochians, and also worship idolatry, man. That's why Apostle Paul made a statement that we were Gentiles, carried away to dumb idols, man. You know, a brother can put that up. I think that's 1 Corinthians 12 and 1 or 2 Corinthians 12 and 1. You know, a brother can put that up. All right. So when you go back into 1st Maccabees, so pretty much you see Jake is just turned out. You know, they wild and they dealing with harlots in the temple. You know, they got Jupiter erected in the temple, man. You know, just wilding out, man. Under this wicked priesthood, man. You see? And see, if Jake was able to have that authority today, Jake would do the same thing. He'll turn Israel out, you know, and turn them back into what, man? Americans, man. You know? Jake don't want to be high priest, you know, for the righteousness of the scripture. Jake want to be high priest for them, you know, for their benefit, man. You see? So when you go into the brother Gashan 72, 1 Corinthians 12 and 2, ye know that you were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Yeah. And our people were, you know, were under the the law of death. You would be put to death. You had to worship idols to be put to death, man. You had to be called, Greeks. You couldn't call yourself a Jew. You had to be called Greeks or put to death, man. So that's what led, to the Maccabean revolt. Pretty much you had Mattathias, which was a Levite, which is the father of Judas, and all those Maccabean brothers, they would rise up, and defend, the righteousness of the law, and they would win a lot of wars against those Greeks and kind of much, restore order, to that priesthood, which you get the Hasmonean dynasty that will come out of it. That was started pretty much by Simon, the youngest brother, the youngest Maccabean brother, and then eventually we're going to fast forward to the times when the Romans came in and really shut down the Hasmonean dynasty. And that's where you get, the Romans, they started putting people in the high priest position, so we're going to read that, then we're going to get into the Gospels, all right, where Yahweh Shah was pretty much speaking against that mindset that, all right, our people had developed, the leaders of Israel had developed, and he was always, Yahweh Shah is going to go into how, he's really the disciples that was under Yahweh Shah, he was really grooming them not to be like, the high priest and the priests of that time, the Pharisees, he was pretty much teaching against that mindset that they had developed. Now, this is between the testaments again, and it's going to the Romans. It said when Pompey, all right, suspected Tribulus. Now, Tribulus was a, he was a ruler of the Hasmonean dynasty, all right. But the Romans came pretty much and put an end to the Hasmonean dynasty, where our people, they wasn't paying tribute to these heathen nations. They had some form of sovereignty under the Hasmonean dynasty, but that went away when the Romans came and took it down. It says when Pompey suspected Ascrobulus of planning a rebellion against Rome, he besieged Jerusalem. After 3 months, he breached the fortifications, entered into the city, and reportedly murdered 12,000 Jews. And that's where you get. Let's get that real quick. Brother can post it. We'll talk about the kingdom of heaven, suffering violence. We'll talk about the kingdom of heaven, suffering violence. I believe it's Matthew 11. But brother can post it, because it's pretty much what it's going into, because it was taken by force because of the people, And it says, Pompey and his officers entered into the Holy of Holies in the temple, but he did not touch his costly furnishing and allowed temple worship to continue. Jerusalem, however, was made tributary to the Romans, and the last vestige of the Jews' independence was removed. Judea was incorporated into a Roman province of Syria, and they lost the coastal cities, all right, the district, it says the district of Samaria and the cities of Jordan. Hyrcanus, all right, Hyrcanus was named the ethnarch of Judea, including Galilee, Idumea, and Perea, and was confirmed again a high priest. So this is when the Romans started putting up high priests. It went from the Greeks putting up high priests to now the Romans will put up, high priests. So when Yahweh Shah came, he was speaking against that, and ultimately the priesthood would change. All right. So when you go to, let's get that from the brother. All right. This is the brother Yashima, tribe of Judah, Matthew 11 and 12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffering violence, and violent, all right, take it by force. And that's when Pompey came in. He pretty much, took that little sovereignty that we had, and put us back into tributary, and he killed 12,000, Israelites in the process, So Let's just get back into the scriptures. Let me get this. All right. So when you go into the teachings of Yahushua, he was always teaching against, that mindset that was developed, all right, amongst the leaders of our people. Now, when you go into, let's start at Luke. I'll just get these accounts in Luke. It's the book of Luke, chapter 22. And say 24. All right. It's Luke 22 and 24. And it says, and there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. Now, this is disciples, and they're, arguing about who's going to be the greatest. All right. And this is what Yahushua said. And he said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them. Yeah, because the high priest, they was likening themselves into like a king over Israel. They was exercising lordship over Israel, just like those heathens were doing, like the Greeks were doing, the Romans were doing. You see, the priests had got in that spirit, you see. And it says, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. It says, but ye shall not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doth serve. You see, for whether is greater, he that sitteth at meat or he that serveth. It's not he that sitteth at meat, but I am among you as he that serveth. You see, so now Yahushua like, look, whoever gonna be greatest among you, all right, let him be as the younger, as the most insignificant, and he that is chief as he that doth serve. Yeah, so the way that the Lord, the leaders of Israel come in the spirit of servitude, the Levitical priesthood, that was a servitude, man. There wasn't a place of, it wasn't about status and rank and exercising authority over people. The Levitical priests were servants. Those things that they was doing, they had to, carry the tabernacle and set it back up and, carry the ark. There was a lot. There was a service. They had an important office. But it was position of servitude, just like today. Because Yahushua said, for whether is greater, he that sitteth the meat or he that serveth. Because if you're a king, you got people serving you food. People are moving for your behalf. Other people doing things that benefit you. But no, now we in a position, if we want to be the greatest, we got to benefit the nation. We're serving the nation, because pretty much spiritually, the prophets start with the apostles and elders, the men of the Lord. We're serving tables, man. You brothers, you sisters, you're sitting at a table and we're serving you. That's the mind frame, that's the mindset that Yahushua was pushing, man. Jake had got beside themselves, man. You see? Now, reading 28, and he talks about the reward. Verse 28. Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations, and I appoint unto you a kingdom as my Father hath appointed me, that ye may eat and drink in my kingdom. Yeah, that's when we're going to be served. That's when we're going to be kings and priests then, man. We're going to have slaves that's going to serve us in the kingdom. You see? But at this time, we're serving the nation right now, man. And it says that ye may eat and drink at my table and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel, man. And when we started first listening to the truth, we came to sit at the table and brothers were serving us, man, when we first came into this thing, man. And then you work your way up to what? Serving others, man. You see, because we were served. And now we serving others, man. And this cycle keep going, man. And those are the men that's going to be in rulership, man. Not those men that's in that spirit as if they're kings now, man. All right. Go to Let's get Luke 14 and this is Luke 14:1. It says, and it came to pass as he went into the house of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day, that they watched him, and behold, there was a certain man before him which had dropsy. And Yahushua answering spake unto the lawyers, all right, which lawyer, all right, lawyer, you know. So no, you're talking about the Levites, those experts in the law, and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? And they held their peace, and he took him and healed him and let him go. And answered them, saying, which of you shall have an ass or an ox fall into a pit, and not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath day? And they could not answer him again of these things. You know, so Yahushua, he would be cutting the Pharisees because they prided themselves in the law, you know. So see, Yahushua was always busting up the mindset of them leaders of our people when he was on the scene, man. You know, and that's why it was the leaders of Jake that caused Yahushua to be put to death, man. You know, and it said verse 7, it says, and he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief room, saying unto them, and this in the spiritual, you always talk about chief, you know, and who calls himself chief this and chief, you know, chief priest. All right. And it says, when he marked how they chose out the chief room, saying unto them, when thou art bidden of any man, because he's talking to the leadership. He says, when thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thee be bidden of him. You know, because in the ancient world, you'll be bidden to a wedding, and you will have, you know, different places when you go to an ancient wedding, especially of a man of status. You know, he will have different tables for different, you know, guests of honor. You know. And then what happened, the Pharisees had got to the point where every wedding they was been to, they would just go to the straight chief place of honor, man. They would promote themselves to the place of honor. You see, just like you seeing Jake today, promoting themselves, man, giving themselves all these titles, saying he's, you know, they're the ruling priest, they this, they the commander, they, you know, all these different things. That's because this is a spiritual wedding that we're being bidden to. You see? And we just come to the wedding and play our part. You know, we're just happy to be here. You see, we're honored just to be here. So we take the smallest, you know, the lowest seat in the room, like it's going to go into. You know, it says, when thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him, and he that bid thee of him come and say, give this man place, and thou begin with shame to take the lowest room. You see, that would be embarrassing, man. You come and promote yourself, and then there's a man that's more honorable that's been invited to the wedding, and the master of the feast come tell you, like, you got to move. You know, this is for him. This seat is for him. You know, and that's what's going to happen to a lot of Israelites. You know, these Israelite leaders that want their position of Yahushua, they finna be removed, man. You know, in front of everybody, man. They're going to be put to shame. All right. It says, but when thou art bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade thee cometh, all right. And who bade us to this wedding, man? All right. Yahushua. You see, he that bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, friend, go up higher. Then shalt thou have worship. And that's talking about high reverence, not, you know, you worship, you know, a man as you worship the Heavenly Father, but it's talking about a high reverence. All right. Thou shalt have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee, for whosoever exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humble himself shall be exalted. You see? So that's what this thing about, man. Humility. As a leader, it takes humility, man. You gotta learn humility first, man. Then you can be exalted, man. But if you exalt yourself from the door, you're gonna be at base, man. You see, like you said, you seen Jake was doing, man, during the time of the Greeks, man. They was exalting themselves, man, constantly exalting themselves, man. You know, and eventually they got a base. All right, so let's go from there. I got one more, and then eventually Howard Shot just gonna cuss them niggas out, man. You know, Howard Shot just gonna get on the niggas' ass, man. You see, and he's gonna do the same thing again, but hey, it's gonna be through judgment. All right, this is Luke 11:37. All right, and it says, and he spake, and as he spake, a certain Pharisee besought him to dine with him, and he went in and sat down at meat. And when the Pharisee saw it, he marveled that he had not first washed before dinner. You see, so the Pharisee had very over righteous spirit, but they was hypocritical because why? They was nothing but pretty much just Roman overseers, you know, over Judea. You see, but they were trying to put on like they were just so holier than thou, you know, and then they was trying to make law things that wasn't even law, you know, about washing your hands before eating, you know, particular things like that, you see. But they would do extra things to make themselves seem as if they're just so holy and above, you know, the common people of Israel, you see. So when Yahushua is perceiving their thoughts, man, he looking at them. Eventually, he just gonna snap out, man, you know, and cuss these niggas out, man. It says, and the Lord said unto him, now ye Pharisees make clean the outside of the cup and the platter, but your inward parts is full of ravening and wickedness, man. And there's a lot of Israelites today, all right, with all these clean matching outfits, you know, but their inward parts full of ravening and wickedness, man. And Jake is falling for the outside of the cup, you know, because the outside of the cup look good, man, which a cup is just a vessel. And a lot of these guys, they look good on the outward, you know, but inwardly, all right, they're ravening and wickedness, man, and it's being made manifest. What they're saying and what they're doing is manifesting what they're really about, man. All right, it says, ye fools, did not he that made that which is without make that which is within also, but rather give alms of such things as you have, and behold, all things are clean unto you. But woe unto you, Pharisee, destruction. All right, now you're gonna cuss these niggas out, man. For ye tie mint and rue and all manner of herbs, and pass over judgment and the love of the Most High. These ought you to have done, and not to leave the others undone. Yeah, because they will do things that will make them on the outside, that will make them seem righteous, man. You got a lot of Jakes. The reason they teach is just to seem righteous, man. You know, but when it comes to true judgment, when it comes to, you know, the true labor of love, which is pushing the right mindset on Israel in these times, you know, being a watchman, being a warner, you know, being a watchman and warning the people, you see, truly caring about, you know, the sheep and their well-being. You see, Jake not about that. You see, Jake is all about the external things he can do to seem righteous, you know, but they have a very wicked, all right, intentions, man. It said, these ought you have done, and not to leave the other undone. Woe unto you, Pharisees, for you love the uppermost seats in the synagogues and greeting in the marketplaces. Yeah. You see, and that's why you have Jake jumping around these different platforms, because they like to look at, that's chief priest. That's, you know, that's Sakari, that's what you call, you know, they go to all these different platforms, Pan-Africanism and debates, because they love these greetings and these titles, man. You see, it said, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are as graves which appear not, and men that walk over them are not aware of them. Then answered one of the lawyers, all right, one of the Levites, so he jumped in and said unto him, Master, thus saying thou reproaches us also. So then you have one of the lawyers like, damn, cussing them niggas out. You know, one of the lawyers of the law, which most likely were Levites, you know, so he was like, shit, you know, what about us? You know, he see him getting on the Pharisees' ass, so he asked about, them. And this is what Yahushua said. He said, woe unto you lawyers, destruction to you niggas too, man. So basically Yahushua is going ballistic at this dinner, man. All right. He's saying destruction to these niggas, man. He's not saying it like no Shakespeare play, man. He's going crazy on these niggas, man. You see? He was fed up with that wicked leadership of you niggas, man. Just like today, he fed up with the wicked leadership of you niggas, man. So he's making you niggas expose your folly before destruction, man. That's where we at with it, man. All this laughing and playing, you niggas don't take nothing serious. You niggas ain't got no fear. You see? Yahushua is finna address you niggas in the same tone, except he gonna put hands on you, man. Through judgment, man. And that's a guarantee, man. It's just a matter of time, man. And it says, and he said, woe unto you also, ye lawyers, for ye laid men with burdens, grievous to be borne, and ye yourselves touch not the burdens with one of your fingers. Woe unto you, all right? Yeah, because these niggas try to put the whole law on you, all right? But these niggas teach with a hat on, man. They talk about being these such great priests and, all these different things, but they teach with a hat on, man. You see? They do nothing, all right, that the scriptures say, man. They only try to apply things when it benefit their agenda, man, just like the Christian church and just like Esau, man. It says, woe unto you, for ye build sepulchres of the prophets, and your fathers killed them, man. Because Jake had Onias killed, man. All right? Jake had Onias killed, man. Which was a righteous high priest. And see, these are the seeds of them same wicked niggas they in the earth, man. And these are those wicked niggas coming back, man. All right? It said, truly you bear witness that you allowed the deeds of your fathers, for they indeed killed them, and ye build their sepulchres. Therefore also said the wisdom of the Most High, I will send them prophets and apostles, and some of them, all right, they shall slay and persecute, that the blood of all the prophets which was shed from the foundation of the world may be required at this generation, from the blood of Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, which perished between the altar and the temple. Verily I say unto you, it shall be required, all right, of this generation, man. The Most High finna require their blood from you niggas, man. That's where we at with it, man. Yahushua finna acquire their blood from you guys, man. And it's gonna be publicized, man, because you niggas love attention so much, man. You guys love attention so much, man. Verse 52, woe unto you, lawyers, for he hath taken away the key of knowledge. Ye enter not in yourselves, and them that were entering ye hindered, man. And then Jake finna get a lot of niggas killed, man. A lot of niggas finna die, all right, following you niggas, man. And rightfully so. It's all set up, you see? So, it's pretty much the point. I knew it was gonna be long. I had to do a lot of read, but just sum up, what was going on with the priesthood and how it got corruptible, and ultimately, all right, how shy, hey, that washed up priesthood done away with, man. Jake got too far wicked, and just like during the time of the Maccabean revolt, Yahushua establishing a righteous priesthood in the earth, man. It's open up to all 12 tribes, man. 12,000, starting with those 12,000 men of each tribe, man. The priesthood is spiritual now, man. It's not about one tribe, and right now it's about prophesying and teaching, So, yeah, Lord will, you brothers, and you few sisters edified. Like I said, if you have any questions about anything, just leave it on the comment board, the video, we'll deal with it. I try to make it, as concise, as possible, and easy as possible, So, I say till next time, hey, Kwam Yasha Allah, a Bible ball, DTA soon. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Call Allah, Allah, Yahweh, Bashim al Shai,